Basically, we are not talking about people who are in need. We are not talking about Muslims. We are talking about a law, international law and Polish law. We don't want any illegal migration in Poland. This is what we promised. This is why our government was elected.
Cześć, witam, dzień dobry, what's up? This is Mike. Today I would like to talk about the subject illegal immigration and when it regards Poland right now. Things have changed a little bit. The tones have changed since Donald Tusk was elected prime minister. So I would like to talk about what illegal immigration looks like here in Poland, or illegal migration, how that shapes Polish society, and why Poland might feel like one of the safest EU member countries. All right, so here we have Poland says specialists from Middle East digging migrant tunnels under Belarus border. Poland's Interior Ministry says that specialists from the Middle East have been brought to Belarus to dig tunnels under the border for migrants to cross into Poland. 4 such tunnels have been discovered this year. The most recent was found by the Polish border guard last week near the village of Narewka in eastern Poland, so this is probably close to the Belarusian border. The entrance was around 50 meters inside Belarus, while the exit was located 10 meters inside of Poland. The tunnel had a height of 1.5 meters. Electronic monitoring systems determined that around 180 people had traveled through the tunnel, but 130 of them were quickly detained by Polish authorities. They're very, very, very fast here. I've seen the footage. They were primarily citizens of Afghanistan, Pakistan, while others included Indians, Nepalese, and Bangladeshis. Okay, so this is interesting. The border guard also detained 2 so-called couriers who had come to collect the migrants and transport them to Western Europe. One was a 60-year-old Pole, the other 49-year-old Lithuanian. On Monday this week, the border guard announced that 9 further migrants, mostly Afghans, who came through the tunnel had been apprehended. This tunnel was the 4th discovered by Poland along the Belarusian border this year. Speaking to broadcaster EDMF on Monday, Deputy Interior Minister Czesław Mroczek said that this is a sign how effective Poland has been in sealing off the border. Digging these tunnels means that our effectiveness in stopping migration is so high that it was decided to bring in specialists from the Middle East to dig them. Oh, my man really thinks highly of himself. As our findings indicate from interviewing those who attempted to get to the Polish side, said Mroczek.
Nasza skuteczność w powstrzymywaniu tej migracji w tych metodach, które do tej pory były stosowane, jest tak duża, że zdecydowano się na ściągnięcie, tak wynika z naszych ustaleń, przepytywania tych, którzy próbowali się przedostać na polską stronę, że ściągnięto tam fachowców do kopania właśnie tuneli.
Białorusini ściągnęli, tak?
Tak, z Bliskiego Wschodu i w związku...
Ale zaraz, chce pan powiedzieć, że to mogą być ci sami ludzie, którzy kopali tunele na przykład w Strefie Gazy?
Mamy wśród migrantów obywateli Syrii. Zdarzają się, najkrócej mówiąc, mamy tam, tak jak powiedziałem, ludzi, którzy mają doświadczenie w zakresie takich działań i w związku z tym, że, tak jak powiadam, te dotychczasowe metody się nie powiodły, próbują tunelami w tej chwili przedostawać się, ale jesteśmy przygotowani na to. Trzeba jednak wyraźnie zaznaczyć, że w ciągu już ponad pół miesiąca w zasadzie nie odnotowujemy żadnych prób przekroczenia granicy.
Ale także tymi tunelami, rozumiem.
Nie, mieliśmy taką sytuację, że ponad 10 dni nie mieliśmy nawet jednej próby przekroczenia granicy.
We have Syrian citizens among the migrants, he confirmed. In short, we have people there who are experiencing such activities, and because previous methods have failed, they are trying to enter through tunnels. We are prepared for this. We are reconfiguring their entire system to detect underground activity. Yeah, they're not messing around here. I'm telling you, people, they're not messing around. In further comments to EDMF today, Interior Minister Marcin Kierwiński said that migrants from Kurdistan, a region that partially lies in Syria, are involved in digging these tunnels, but he made clear that it is Belarusian authorities that are ultimately responsible. Since 2021, Belarus has been encouraging and helping tens of thousands of migrants, mainly from the Middle East, Asia, and Africa, to cross the border in what Polish and EU authorities call a hybrid attack. So what is a hybrid attack? What are we talking about?
A hybrid attack refers to the coordinated use of multiple tools, military, non-military, overt, and covert, to undermine or destabilize a target without triggering full-scale conventional war. Examples often cited include Russia's actions in Ukraine, Belarus border, migration pressures on the EU, or state-backed influence operations. The aim is to sow division, erode trust in institutions, and weaken resilience without open combat.
This is a very unclear term, an unclear phrase, and I don't know if this is just something used to demonize people who are coming into the country illegally to pass through to get further west. I am not into illegal immigration. I have been living in Poland for 8 years, and let me tell you, I have to jump through hoops every time it's time for me to renew my card to Babbitt. Even though I've been here 8 years, I still have to come in with heavy documentation. I am definitely not a fan of people coming in, taking advantage of a system, but I don't even blame the people anymore at this point. This has to be something with the politicians here that aren't acting in good faith. So I don't blame the people for coming in and taking advantage of a system if they're willing to, if the country and the politicians are willing to give them gifts. I don't blame the people. If Poland would let me stay here for free and I could just chill, I have my apartment, I get an apartment, I get a certain amount of money per month, I would do the same thing. So if governments in the European Union are willing to reward this type of behavior, I don't feel sorry for these people. I don't feel sorry for the politicians whatsoever. I feel sorry for the citizens that have to navigate within this illegal migration and figure out how their country is paying for this. So definitely kudos to Poland, kudos to Polish leadership. I still like to believe Donald Tusk, although he's not liked by a lot of people, he still seems to be pretty conservative when it relates to the border. Here's another story here, because as an American, sometimes I think we're so far away from the problems that sometimes we create as a country for other parts of the world. I think we're really detached and we don't have a real clue or understanding how the rest of the world works. So I think a lot of times it doesn't get said out loud, but the United States has had a really bad track record in destabilizing many parts of the world. And if we look at what's happening in the Middle East currently, we have the situation in Iran. In Iran, we have a war kicked off by Israel and the United States. I don't know what the goals are. I don't know exactly what the goals are. Is it just to put in a leader that is more favorable to the United States agenda, that's more open to doing business and trade with us? I don't know exactly what the situation is. You can see we've kidnapped Nicolas Maduro, the guy from Venezuela. We just basically just swooped in and took a president out of his house. I mean, I don't know how you can do that. So let's just take a brief look at what the U.S. has done in terms of attempting to do regime change and what our track record is and why we might be part of the problem in terms of destabilizing that part of the region of the world, and why we have current problems as we do in the European Union. Various U.S. presidents have sent military forces to remove unpopular rulers abroad. Their track record is mixed. Initially, Trump claimed that the regime change was a goal in the current Iran war too. I don't see anybody going to North Korea. Why is nobody getting Kim Jong-un? What? This guy has nuclear warheads? No, nobody's messing with Kim Jong-un. At the beginning of the current war with Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump was clear about the goals. Tehran should no longer pose a nuclear or conventional military threat, and the weakened mullah regime should be removed from power. Since then, Trump and other top officials, U.S. officials, have mentioned different reasons for the U.S. and Israeli airstrikes in Iran. So we're basically saying, hey, we're big brother. You're not allowed to have this. We can have it. They can have it. He can have it. But they can't have it. There's a guy, his name is Wesley Clark. He gave a really insightful interview about what the U.S. agenda is. Maybe Polish people are not aware of it. Polish people that might watch this video, maybe you're really too young to understand what's happening in the United States and you look at things through a very small lens. Maybe you don't care. But we have a guy, General Wesley Clark, highly decorated military general that gave this really interesting interview, and he lays out exactly what the agenda is. Nobody talks about it.
For me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
So we have, during the Cold War alone, 1947 through 1989, the U.S. made 72 attempts to change the balance of power abroad in its favor, according to a study. In 1953, for example, the U.S. Foreign Intelligence Service, CIA, together with the British MI6, succeeded to overthrowing the Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. As a result, Iran's new ruler, the Shah of Iran, increasingly seen as a lackey of the U.S., and was overthrown during the Islamic Revolution in 1979. The theocratic and even ever more repressive regime established at the time is now at the center of the current airstrikes. So we go in, we try to assert power in other parts of the world. It doesn't work out for us, and then they get a real dictator. So look at this track record. We have Libya, 2011. Why were we in Libya? We don't know. We can make some really pretty speeches about why we were there, and people just accept it for what it is. We had NATO there. I don't know. Did Libya attack somebody? Almost 15 years later, Libya remains politically divided and marked by massive instability. Okay, so I would check that as a failure. Iraq, 2003. We have Saddam Hussein. Afghanistan, 2001. Here we go. September 11th attacks, Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. While Taliban regime was quickly overthrown, the new U.S.-backed government was only able to hold its ground for a limited period of time. Why are we backing governments in other countries? And so I think Polish people, Europeans, if anybody watches this video, you have to understand the role of the United States. Do your homework. Don't just watch the news. Don't listen to me. Don't take my word for it. If you really care about what's happening in a geopolitical sphere, you have to do your own homework. So what I did was I asked how many crimes are committed in Poland and European countries by non-citizens, people that are migrants, basically.
Why Eastern Central Europe ranks safest on this metric? These countries have very low non-European migrant populations overall, especially from regions with documented higher offending rates in Western Europe, for example, Middle Eastern, North African, or Afghan groups. Hungary and Poland accepted almost no asylum seekers from the 2015 to 2016 waves and maintain strict policies. Foreign residents are mostly EU citizens, Ukrainians, or neighboring country workers who show crime rates close to or below natives in available data. Western Northern Europe shows the opposite pattern. Countries with higher non-Western immigration, post-2015 surges or ongoing inflows, report clear overrepresentation of foreign-born, non-citizen offenders in the exact crimes mentioned. Sweden, foreign-born, especially non-EU, were 58% of those convicted of rape and attempted rape. 2013 to 2018 data. Over 80% in cases where the victim didn't know the attacker. Immigrants were suspects in 70% of robberies and high shares of violent crime. France, UK, Denmark. Similar patterns. foreign nationals, or non-Western immigrants, accounted for 20 to 40% of sexual violence perpetrators in various reports, with notable overrepresentation in knife crime, gang homicides, and some theft categories. Denmark's non-Western immigrants and descendants had 51 to 149% higher crime rates than the general population in recent years.
149% higher? Whew. We have a problem, Houston. Why don't people want to address this and see it for what it is? Pattern recognition. And before I continue, I have to put a disclaimer. I am not against people of different ethnicities. I can tell you as an American living in Poland, you don't have these enclaves. You don't have a concentration of people here from different countries. The only thing I could say, if I'm going to be not politically correct, I would say the only thing I've heard Polish people, when they speak negatively about people, is usually people, they're called Roma, gypsies. These are the only groups of people I've really heard demonized, kind of frowned upon because there's pattern recognition here in Poland. Gypsies have a very bad reputation here. I will also say that I've had a lot of Polish clients that travel to Germany. They go to other countries. They go to Zanzibar. They go to Egypt. They go to Germany. They go to France. But there still is one common denominator when they come back home. When I ask them, hey, how was your trip? They say, I'm glad to be home. So Polish people, through political correctness, might not say this out loud, but I can see in my personal conversations, Polish people, even on the liberal side, do not like illegal migration. I don't even know if they like legal migration, to be honest with you. I don't know if it has anything to do with assimilation. I would say collectively, Polish people, though they are open, are very xenophobic. In my conversations, I don't even know what Polish people think about me, a non-native Polish person. So that's my 2 cents. Polish people, let me know what you think about my commentary. As always, leave a comment in the comment section below. I would like to have you add to the conversation. Give me more knowledge, give me wisdom. Please let me know what you think about your situation when it relates to legal and illegal migration, how you see your country in comparison to your counterparts in the West, Germany, Italy, France, Portugal, Spain, how the leadership is handling the situations there, Greece. See you on the next one. Cześć.